Welcome to the NBA Coast to Coast podcast brought to you by lineups.com. It's Tuesday. Nate and Josh are here with you guys. Got 10 games on the slate. So really nice night of games here for us. We've got some best bets with sides and totals looks for you. Also have our player props in here. So make sure you are subscribed to that channel. Continue to follow along all season with us. Let's go ahead and jump right into things. We're talking about the first game technically on the slate here. We got Nuggets and Pistons in Detroit. You do like the Nuggets to cover.
Yeah, maybe win too. We got the Joker back. So of course we like this team that's really stayed afloat without him. Still no Aaron Gordon, but at first glance, it's just like, is Detroit a classic bully? And the answer, of course, is yes. And how do I parlay that into betting? Well, they don't beat the pants off of good teams, do they? They beat the pants off of bad teams. They've won a few games by like 30, 40 points recently. They're 1-6 ATS to their last 7 against playoff teams. And that includes barely beating a skeleton Denver squad. So like you look at that, yes, it was in Denver, not in Detroit, but the spread opened at the exact same line, -6. It's like, what are you doing if you think like Joker is not worth any points? Or Joker is the equivalent of home court advantage. Like home court advantage is not that important. The best player in basketball is important. And now he's coming off a loss. He's ramping up over 30 minutes. He's going up against Jalen Duren, which, to me, I was like, that's not scary. I think I actually like when Jokic plays the like strongest, toughest guys out there, because that's where he thrives, right? He's just like, okay, you're going to like forearm shiver me. Okay, have this hook, just spray the ball over here. Detroit's the worst corner 3 defense in the last 6, by the way. They're depending on turnovers to score. They're depending on free throws, as always, and paint points. Joker's underrated in terms of how he denies paint points and denies free throws, and just kind of mixes it up down there. I mean, the Nuggets, don't forget, won 11 straight road games when Jokic was healthy in November. They've gotten clicking without him. And they're, as dogs, they're 7-1 ATS as road dogs. So all the trends here indicate this is the side you should be backing. And then you look at the numbers of him, won 4 straight up against Duren with a 148 offensive rating. And the Nuggets shot like 55% from the floor in the last 2, scored 136. So they have no problems with this Detroit defense and their bad boy mentality.
They shouldn't, yeah. And I do think, Joker's back to full. I think he would have played full last game if that game was closer. So I'm completely on board with them being able to cover. I do think the Pistons are for real, but if Christian Brown's also playing a few minutes, would be nice to see out there. So we'll see what happens with that rotation. But we've got the Jazz here in Indy. We got the Pacers here on the back-to-back. They're at home. Only lost by 4. Nice job by you calling the cover yesterday against the Rockets. Rockets still pulled that game out. It was a pretty nice win for them with Şengün going absolutely ballistic, but it took that to beat the Pacers by 4. And now we've got the Pacers with the Jazz incoming. We're going to see no Keontae George. We're going to see no Nurkic. Kevin Love is now doubtful from questionable. So it's like Flip, Collier, Sensabaugh, and of course the Lowry mark in there as well. And I would actually assume he has a pretty good game with the other guys that are going to be out there with him. But for the Pacers, they're going to be going up on the second night of back-to-back. I don't think that's going to matter too much because they do have everybody in, it looks like, including even TJ McConnell, who has lines pretty high. So that's an indication if TJ McConnell is playing on the back-to-back, I think they're going with the guys they had yesterday as well. I think Jarris Walker is a good look in this one. He stepped in really nicely coming off the bench recently, upped his averages with Benedict Mathurin sort of slowly getting his minutes back. But that's another part of this. Benny Matz played 34 yesterday. He's been playing 30 coming off the bench now, and they love him in that role. He does end games, and that's how he gets his minutes up really high too. But like I said, Jarris Walker providing a really nice 23 minutes or so. This defense is better than it was. It's like still like 20th in the league over the course of its last 7 games. So it's nothing to like write home about and be like, hey, the Pacers might be good on defense. It's more just they're going to have their full slate of guys against a Jazz team that's missing Keontae George. Want to know how important Keontae George is to this team? In just 3 games without him, they've scored 18 points fewer per game than their averages. And that's actually even more so because they were up at about 120 a night, even with their abysmal road stuff. And Keontae George is so important that it's like, maybe it doesn't matter where the Jazz are playing. Maybe it matters if Keontae George is playing, as they're 0-3 now without him getting waxed. All teams covering this 3-point spread pretty easily against them. And I do think when you look at the bigs that are going to be playing out there, like Flip is not a guy that's going to take advantage of the poor interior defense of this Pacers squad. Keontae George definitely would have. And it's also why I think Lowry can score from multiple different positions, both, spotting up and also sort of backing guys down if he does get the good matchup. That's what he does. But don't bank on Lowry playing more full minutes necessarily. The tank is fully on, and they will ensure that down the stretch that they lose by at least 3 points.
Yeah, I mean that's what you love to see is a team that's actively trying to lose because they're a protected draft pick against a team that, despite their bad record, just organizationally is like, we don't tank. We do not
Yeah.
do that. The Indiana Pacers are out there playing for pride, playing hard, and that's why they were able to cover yesterday in a much tougher matchup. Now on the back to back, they're deep enough to throw out a good squad here at home and keep it going for the home fans. Nets are at home, and they got a big spread here against the Lakers. It's 8.5 at some spots, but I think right around 9 is fair to play here. I mean, the Lakers, will Austin Reeves play? That's a key question. Will he play on the last game of this 8-game Grammy trip, or will he play at home on Thursday in, I think, a nationally televised game against Philly? Maybe he wants to get his feet wet with this Brooklyn game, but I don't think he'll be like full go. The Nets, they're going to return Zaire Williams and Noah Clowney, who important for that defense, and MPJ, who without him, they're liable to get blown out. They've gotten blown out a couple times with MPJ, but there's been this kind of alternating trend where like after the blowout they come back and they're competitive. It's like it's an oscillating tank. But post blowouts recently, they've lost by 4, 4, and 9 to the Celtics and Suns twice. Better teams than the Lakers, straight up. The Lakers are not good defensively. It is just the Luka show. It's LeBron if they can get out and transition, but these Nets games, especially after the losses, have been very, very slow. We're talking like a 90 to 89 pace. And interesting split here is the last 8 games with a pace 95 or slower for the Lakers, where they have not been able to run. They're 1-7 straight up, losing by 15 points per game. So you slow it down. You see, I mean, Luka, you can maybe get yours, but what else does this team have? Like they are so thin around Luka. Last March against Jordy's squad, Luka posted a 22-point triple double, and they lost 108-111. So I think we see another gross score here where the Lakers might pull out the win, but I don't think it'll be by double digits.
Yeah, I think that's totally fair. I don't really think Brooklyn's like doing the same style of tanking as some of these other teams, like the Jazz. But either way, like with Luka and company out there, you're still going to see guys playing like MPJ, Nick Claxton, like those guys are still going to get their full minutes there. And yeah, you want to put obviously if Luka's Luka, so he's going to be built different. But if you take Luka off that and aging LeBron is out there with Austin Reeves on a minutes limit, I'm not saying Luka's not playing. I'm just saying I don't think what's around him is enough because it just takes putting him out of the lineup to go, whoa, what do we do now essentially on offense for this team? So I'm going to go to the Knicks here and just continue to believe in them walloping competition. And it's been better than the Wizards. I mean, everybody's better than the Wizards. So it's not much to say that in their 6-game win streak, they've been beating teams up that are much better than the Wizards, but they have. I mean, the aforementioned Lakers by 12, waxed the Trailblazers by 30, handled Toronto, who was on a win streak at that point as well. Sacramento, they handled. Philly, they beat by 3. And right now, with the way Joel Embiid is playing, I mean, the way they handled the Clippers yesterday, obviously no James Harden, who's probably going to be in Cleveland soon. Not sure what the nightlife is like in Cleveland, but good luck, James. And then if you look at the way that they're playing on defense, they finally started doing it. They have a 95 defensive rating during this win streak. They have the top net rating during this win streak of plus 24. And like the competition that I just laid out is enough to go, well, like, yeah, they're not beating up on good teams, but I don't need them to right now. And I don't know if they'll be able to, but I do know that they can absolutely handle these teams. And Washington, the tank is on. That Washington Sacramento game that they played, I think it was Sunday or now a couple of days ago, either Saturday or Sunday. It was brutal, man. No Washington starter played more than 22 minutes, and they were in the game. They were down by like 10 when that happened. I think they ended up. I can't remember who won that game. Who cares? Point is now they're going up against the Knicks, and I can see Keyshawn George playing 22 minutes once again. Bilal Coulibaly, same thing. I think Alex Sarr is playing in this one. I'm not too worried about that. Maybe you look at some threes for him because of the lack of desire for Cat to go out there. But this is going to be a big Cat game. I think he's got some steam to let out as he's not really taken very many shots over the course of the last week. And I think he's going to punish this Wizards team who is not going to be trying to win. So like the Knicks to be able to cover in this big spread.
Yeah, an interesting schedule coming up for the Knicks. I mean, it's back to front of the back-to-back. They host the Nuggets tomorrow. Then they have Pistons and Celtics to round out the week. And then like another Pistons game down the road. So like it's a question of, do they want to just put this team away so they can get a little extra rest? Or are they going to take them lightly? Well, recently they've just put teams away. Like you saw with that Trailblazers game, with the Nets game before a Sixers game, just absolutely crushing them. Granted, those were both at home. We'll see if the Knicks can get a little road magic going here. But I think they've stopped taking things for granted the way they were early, where they were like lights out at home, and then they're like, oh, we can win in Sacramento, and then they just get smacked, and they're like, okay.
I just want to say, as someone who watches as many Knicks games as I can, that losing streak was just care all, not giving a single solitary care. And so when you watch it as a Knicks fan, you're like, this is really disappointing. But there's actually upside to the fact that if you just try your hardest, we're going to be as good as we thought we were.
Man, it's the dog days of the season, and
True.
they got it right. Going to props here, Nikola Vucevic. We got a couple Nikolas, but 25.5 PR for the big man in Chicago, and they're in Milwaukee here. This is 27.5 at one book, so nice value here, coming off back-to-back tough matchups against Bam and the Heat. And now he gets a shorthanded squad. We know Giddey and Trey Jones are out. That's going to boost his scoring with Giddey out. We know Jalen Smith and Huerter might not play. His previous 10 before that Heat game without Giddey, 20 points, 10 rebounds, 24% usage. Previous 2 without Jalen Smith, 15.5 boards against the Pistons and Celtics. So not easy matchups there. The Bucks offense has completely gone down the toilet here, as they just sit around wondering if Giannis is going to be traded, or they're just going to have this weird specter over them the rest of the season. And they play so big now with Pete Nance and Portis and Turner, right? That it's just like, I think even if Jalen Smith plays, the Bulls are going to play both those guys. They're going to be like, whatever, we can roll out Jalen Smith at the 4 in this particular matchup. And Vooch can give us some offense against this drop defense that allows you to shoot. He's averaged 18 a game, 40% from 3, 2.5 triples against the Bucks in his last 6. And Milwaukee in their last 15 has just been the worst defense against the corner 3, 4th worst mid-range, 2nd most above the break 3s allowed. So Vooch doesn't even have to get it going down low. He can just get these wide open jumpers.
Yeah, I like Vooch in this game too. The points and rebounds actually was looking if he got up to like 4.5 dimes, I might actually consider fading that and going with a little negative correlated parlay in addition to all this, just a little sprinkle maybe. But yeah, I think Vooch is a good look in this one. The way that Miles Turner's been playing well. It's still just like there's really not much defense for that Bucks squad without Giannis. I'm glad I took the under on the regular season wins for them. Nikola Jokic though, let's get chalky with it. 24.5 points, not a great matchup. Do we ever look at matchup with Jokic? I mean, the only times you want to look at matchup, I think, is when you're like, I don't think he's going to try in this game because he doesn't necessarily have to. Or you go, he's playing Rudy Gobert. He's going to score 40. Let's bet on him. And now he's going up against the Pistons in a spot where it's like my biggest takeaway from his line being at 24.5 for a guy averaging pretty much 30 on the season in 34 minutes a night is they just don't know that no one's seen him play 30 plus minutes yet because he only got 29 against the Thunder in his second game back. You're telling me that Jokic, he was out there in the 4th quarter. He just stopped playing with about 5 or 6 minutes left because they were down by like 15, 17 points, whatever it was. And he's just like, okay, we're good here. So there's no way that if that's a close game, he's not playing 34 minutes, right? That's what tells me that he's back to full. And this is a good enough team in the Pistons that like, I don't think Jokic wants to watch his team lose again or not be as dominant as it is when he's out there. So the assists are not something I love. Wherever you're at on the floor, the Pistons are doing their best and darndest to limit assists against like who they really respect the most, especially that 2-man game between he and Jamal Murray is going to get a lot of attention. And I think at that point, you just stop trying to do too much and you just go down low the way that he does against Rudy. And you go, okay, I can score on literally anybody. So I can definitely score on Jalen Duren and Beef Stew. No shade to them. They're really, really good. It's Jokic. So I don't care about the fact that the matchup is tough. I care about the way that the game flow is going to go is ISO it up, Jokic, and do your thing.
Yeah, no, this is what I'm saying is the matchup is good. When the tough gets going, Jokic is like, great, I'm going to drop 30 on your head. It comes from having like 2 giant brothers, right? And wrestling with them and scoring certainly while getting fouled constantly, just like, whatever, get off me. Yeah, that's what he brings to the table. And like you said, coming off a loss, little parlay action here. Then, if you agree with our theory that Nuggets to cover or win, and Joker to do his thing, show he's fully back here. He's not a guy who usually has minutes limits for a long time, right? I mean, he's usually like 1 game under his feet. I mean, he popped back into the lineup out of nowhere, kind of on that back-to-back, and then he's just like, okay, yeah, I'm good to go. Give me that 30 minutes. Al Horford and the Warriors hosting the Sixers on a back-to-back, and Steph's not going to be out there. You know, we don't have a ton of sample size for Horford playing without Steph. He did play the Sixers without them. Only scored 3 back in December. Shot 1 for 7 from 3. So it's kind of hit and miss if he's going to miss the threes. But he's healthier now, and I think we can trust him to play more minutes. He's played 22 per game in his last 6, 18 PRA in that span. Actually beat his PRA prop in 10 of his last 11. And now he's on 3 days rest, right? He had last played January 30th. So can trust him to get a little more run, maybe to start. And for what it's worth, 131 offensive rating as a starter versus 107 when he comes off the bench. That can help for an older guy, right? I mean, you get the warm up lines, you get the blood flowing, and then you get right into the game. Instead of it's tough to come off the bench when you got them old knees. But as far as the matchup list, the Sixers are the third worst defense against the three right now, sixth most attempts at the rim. Embiid has done a really good job protecting the rim lately, not rebounding though either. We talked about the worst defensive rebounding rate for them in their last 10. And since it's a back-to-back, I think we expect to see Andre Drummond in there over Embiid, maybe Barlow out on Horford, but neither of those guys are going to be great in terms of rotating out to the three-point line where Horford likes to gravitate. Warriors without Steph, it's going to be a little more egalitarian, space and pace. Kick it out, and he'll just pull the trigger like he has for years with the Celtics, right? He's going to be familiar in that role to just take a bunch of threes.
Yeah, that's fine. I mean, the 8.5 is kind of a key number if he is going to hit those threes, which is a lot of what he's doing. But yeah, without Steph, especially, it's like there's Buddy Hield, there's Moses Moody. Then you're looking at some bigs that you need to help with the spot up shooting. And the more that Quinn Post isn't it, so the more that Al Horford can play, the better for them. But I also like Pods in this game, and his assists have been through the roof, the potentials, right? I'm not just looking at the fact that he has had like 7 assists in the last 3. He's been diming up in the games without Jimmy Butler. It's been 3.5 consistently without Jimmy Butler, despite the fact that he was averaging about 14 potential assists per game over the course of those games without Jimmy. Then you talk about Steph not being in. Once again, it's like there's just more usage that's going somewhere else. And it's clearly like falling in Pods' laps as he's also getting low to mid 30s consistently now. This game with Philly, like I would guess that Philly on the back-to-back, not sure if Joel plays even, but I think if he does, like it's just a classic. Like, is Joel going to really go that hard until maybe the end? If it is a closer game than they might have thought it was going to be against a weak, a shorthanded Dubs team, then it's like, okay, maybe down the stretch, Joel goes off and make sure that they win the game by just dominating whomever it is that the Dubs throw at him, because they have no one close to the. Not many teams have anyone close to the size of Joel, but there's a lot bigger guys in the league than are on the Warriors roster right now, especially. So that is why I do think Allen needs the time out there. But point is I don't think this Philly defense is going to be quite the same without Paul George or a completely, into the game and focus sort of Joel Embiid. A little bit of conjecture there, but there's also the possibility that Joel doesn't even play on the back-to-back when they look across the way and go like, do we really need him? Can Dembona and Drummond kind of come in and Drummond could have 16 rebounds if he played 30 minutes in this game. So I think they feel good enough about their ability to do that. Just going to leave a lot less rim protection. They've been way worse without Joel in the game, and that should open up the middle a lot more for Pods, as he does have the ball in his hands a ton now.
Yeah, and he's one of many guys with his name circulating in the trade rumor mill, right? So, I mean, he would be part of that Giannis package if they are labeled to land him. Sometimes that makes guys be like, oh, you really want to trade me? Like, look, see what I can do. So maybe, yeah, it's a little assist ladder. I mean, we've seen him get 7-8 dimes when Steph is out, when these guys are out. It just everything kind of flowing through him. And like I'm saying, this egalitarian, fast-paced approach is probably what we'll see from the Warriors.
Yeah, it makes sense. Just real quick, like if you're Giannis, or if you're the Bucks, hopefully if Giannis is good with going to Miami, you choose that. Like Miami's package is so much better than anybody else's right now, with actual assets coming back to them. Whatever you think of Tyler Hero, I do think that's where he lands. But this is gonna be really fun coming up to this Thursday. So that is all the time we have for you guys in this one. Make sure you are subscribed to the channel. Gonna be coming back to you each and every weekday. Also have another Super Bowl episode coming your way for this upcoming weekend. So until we see you next, happy betting.